Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, and it's KJ's What Happened for the past week. The weirder news. Some of it's mainstream, but even those are kind of weird stories. So welcome back. It's good to have you back here, guys. Thanks. I saw in the chat that Tamara and Mia are here. Two of my mods, and also Twitwit. So it's really nice seeing Twitwit again. I haven't seen her in a long time around here. That's an actual picture of her. She's a very pretty girl, but has a thick mustache, a really thick mustache. It's not even a gender fluid kind of a thing. She can't help it. It's just there. So you'll see it in her profile picture, but she's a beautiful person on the inside as well. Okay. I don't even look at the mustache. Anyway, for real, Twitwit, good to see you. Good to see everybody here in chat. And let's get started. I've got quite a few good stories for you. Pick up poo or we take the dog. Chinese city rolls out social credit system for pet owners. We covered the social credit system from China a few weeks back. It's one of those stories I'm kind of watching and waiting to see more come out and then maybe do a bigger video on it. And here's an example of more coming out. It looks like it's starting to really happen. Chinese cities are launching a scoring system for dog owners, where anyone found failing to care for their pets could be forced to pay a fine or even have their dog confiscated. The credit system is already being enforced in the Chinese city of Jinan and requires anyone with a dog to register with the police with only one dog permitted per person. The license starts with 12 points and is embedded as a QR code on a dog's collar. Points are then deducted for various infractions, such as walking a dog without a leash or a tag, not cleaning up poo, or being reported for a disturbance. Owners are docked 3 points if dogs are walked without a leash, for example, which must be less than 1.5 meters in length and under the control of someone at least 18 years of age. A lot of rules. There's a lot of rules here. Dogs are not allowed to play in public water fountains, and they are banned from government buildings, public transport, schools, hospitals, parks, public squares, gyms, hotels, restaurants, markets, and shopping centers. Repeat offenders can see as many as 6 points subtracted in one go, though owners can earn points back with good behavior such as volunteering in kennels. Communism sounds fun. Losing all 12 points means saying goodbye to the dog, the most severe punishment authorities can levy. Once a dog is confiscated, owners must pass an exam. Wow, then you get to pass an exam about responsible pet ownership before being reunited with your pet. Can you imagine that? Since the program was introduced last year, 1,430 dog owners had been fined. Of those, 122 lost the full dozen points and subsequently their dogs. Most passed the exam and got their pets back. Local police say the number of complaints lodged about dogs has dropped significantly. It's crazy, huh? Wow. This one's pretty wild, too. French town hunts mystery serial rabbit killer after 100 pets fall victim. He's a serial killer of rabbits, and he's struck fear into the hearts, or she has struck fear into the hearts of the people of a picturesque French village on the North Brittany coast. More than 100 animals have fallen victim to the mystery killer since he or she began their murderous spree in and around the village of one of those words I can't pronounce, a pretty spot popular with tourists and home to a handful of British expats. The village is gripped by fear, the mayor of the village of 1,300 people said. The killer sneaks into people's gardens, removes the rabbits from their hutches, kills them with a sharp object or by simply crushing them with his foot, and then leaves their dead bodies where they died. The rabbits he kills are often kept by elderly people who house them in their gardens, sometimes alongside chickens or geese. He, the killer, never touches the chickens or the geese. The mayor said the attacks, which now number 15 in total, began in March, then eased off before starting again in August, and then after another lull, resumed earlier this month. What makes the situation particularly scary he said, was the fact that the killer sometimes returns to the scene of a crime to kill again. He returned to one home 4 times, killing 20 rabbits there in all, he said. Police have appealed for witnesses to try and catch the killer. The hutches are opened, then the animals are coldly killed and left on the spot, the local gendarmes said. What is that? What's a gendarmes? You guys know? Said in a post, I'm probably not even saying that word right. Gendarmes? Gendarmes, said in a post to their Facebook page asking people to help them track down the slayer. I really don't think I've ever heard the word gendarmes before. There's been only one reported sighting of the rabbit slayer. Sylvie Corlor lives in the nearby village of Langote and has lost 6 adult rabbits to the attacker, 2 of whom were females who had just given birth and whose babies subsequently died. I surprised him one morning around 9:30 a.m., but he had the time to make his escape, she said. Anyway, there you go. Rabbit serial killer on the loose. Aw, that is adorable. The picture, not the killer. I also want to throw out a big thanks to one of my subscribers and friends, Mad Guns Forever. He sends me a lot of great stories, too. I think this was one of the ones he sent me. Maybe not great stories, but great for the show. Same-sex couple makes history by carrying same baby. And there they are. Jeepers. In a medical first, 2 mothers have carried the same baby. Ashley Coulter gave birth to a son both she and her wife, Bliss Coulter, carried, thanks to a breakthrough method of in vitro fertilization. The method called effortless reciprocal IVF allowed Bliss to incubate her own embryo. Then the embryo was placed inside Ashley, where it grew until she delivered. In June, Stetson was born at a healthy 8 pounds, 3 ounces. I'm excited to put all this in his baby book, Ashley, 29, tells the Post. The couple from Texas sought out the treatment because they wanted a way for both of them to be involved in the pregnancy. And simply using a sperm donor would have meant only one of them could have carried the child. Then the other partner has to adopt a child, Ashley says. But a friend referred them to Dr. Kathy Duty, a fertility specialist from the Care Fertility Clinic in Texas, who had done similar work with IVF. Duty had the idea to involve both mothers. I've wanted to be a mother since as long as I could remember, Ashley says. Bliss 37 adds that the idea of getting pregnant didn't appeal much to her until she fell in love with Ashley and then learned she could have her own baby without carrying it. This whole thing, this kind of stuff confuses me. It's all confusing. In August 2017, doctors harvested Bliss's eggs and inseminated them in their lab with donated sperm. Then they placed Bliss's fertilized eggs in what Duty calls an endocell and placed the cell in Bliss's cervix for 5 days while the eggs incubated and an embryo formed. It's freaking confusing. And sad to me. I don't know. It's weird. Isn't that weird? I think that's weird. Mariah Carey surrounded by creepy clowns in photo from Japan. I can't remember, unfortunately, who sent me this, but another one of my friends emailed this one to me. Creepy clowns are back. World-renowned pop singer Mariah Carey was scaring up some spooky entertainment in Osaka, Japan on a recent Instagram share. Taking to the popular social media platform moments ago, the starlet shared a picture to her 7.3 million fans and followers that had a decidedly creepy composition. And there it is. Mariah Carey with the creepy clowns. The family is surrounded by a bevy of brutal-looking clowns covered in faux blood and bearing evil expressions on their painted faces. I know it just seems like a goofy story, but we've on my channel here we've talked about the crazy clown, or not crazy, the creepy clowns in the past. That started around 2015, right? Went for a couple years. 2015 and 2016, I think, where usually around September, right? Started getting all these crazy sightings of people wearing clown masks and dressed up as clowns and causing all kinds of mayhem. Some of them were luring children out into the woods. Some of them were peeping through people's windows. Some are just hanging around outside, not talking at all, just wearing creepy clown stuff and just hanging, just walking around, being weird. I definitely see that more as a spirit, something spiritual, and I went more in detail in the videos on that. We haven't seen them quite as much, though, lately. But anyway, there you go. Creepy clowns, Mariah Carey. She's kind of a creepy clown, a little bit. I guess that seemed mean, sorry. Woman regrets removing belly button and gifting it to her boyfriend. And that's her. There's the culprit. An angry woman who had her belly button removed in an act of revenge against her estranged family now regrets her impulsive operation. After her body was mutilated, she bizarrely sent the belly button to her then boyfriend as a present. Paulina Casillas Landeros, 23, from Guadalajara in Jalisco, Mexico, fell out with her family as they disapproved of her way of life. They were unimpressed with her tattoos and extreme body modifications, such as a back corset, where piercings are created on either side of the spine, laced with ribbons and pulled tight. Eesh. Along with a split tongue. It all sounds very painful. Annoyed they didn't approve of her lifestyle, she decided to remove her belly button out of spite, as it's what she says what makes us human. She then gave it as a weird gift to her boyfriend. Since having her belly button removed 3 years ago, though, Landeros has made up with her family and ultimately regrets her decision, describing it as reckless and impulsive. Well, that's weird. You see that? The HR intern and tourism student explained, I've always had problems with my family. I was not very close to them at the time. Body modifications fascinated me, and there is something very transcending about them. Describing herself as, quote, very angry at the time, she decided to cut all unions from everything and everyone. She said, I wanted to dehumanize myself in a symbolic way. I wanted to do something controversial. She had an operation to remove her belly button, but claims the professional gave her very bad advice on how to take care of the trauma, so it got infected. She said, I was suffering. I spent days in bed as I was quarantined. I couldn't stretch, push, stand up, or laugh. It gradually healed itself, but not 100%. It will never close entirely. Sheesh. Can you imagine? I guess that's a picture of the belly button. Wow. Facetime, is makeup for men the next big beauty trend? We keep seeing stories like this pop up too, don't we? Tom Ford and Chanel have launched male cosmetics, and foundation is the norm on TV shows from Love Island to Bodyguard, but does a bit of eyeliner work for everyone? One writer puts it to the test. Ugh. I mean, this whole article, it's a lot of propaganda, obviously. I really don't want to. It's a long article, too, so I don't want to start reading it. But it's really just the message, more of the feminization of men, the obvious feminization of men. This has to do with reproduction as well. It's like there's always this push for homosexuality, and a lot of that has to do with no more reproduction. Anyway. Restaurant offers burgers with the taste of human flesh. For several hours on the 4th of October, the burgers were offered free of charge at Naran Katatori square in the city center to anyone interested, with clear prior notice being given about the peculiar taste. However, local news outlet YLE had revealed earlier that the serving of these burgers was a performance organized by London chef Tom Wolfe as a promotion for the 9th season premiere of the Walking Dead TV series. In order to make the meat supposedly taste like human flesh, Wolfe had studied descriptions left by people who had actually eaten humans. In particular, he read the notes of William Seabrook, an American explorer and journalist who had admitted eating human meat during his journey to West Africa, where he spent some time with a cannibal tribe. In his books, Seabrook compared the taste of human meat to the taste of veal. Other infamous cannibals, meanwhile, have claimed it tastes more like chicken or tuna. Wolfe declined to comment on what meat he used to achieve the burger's particular flavor when asked by Global Meat News. There's actually a company called Global Meat News. Wow. However, this is not the first time human flesh burgers have been cooked in order to promote the Walking Dead TV series, a post-apocalypse franchise in which zombies shambled towards living humans to eat them. A similar promotion took place in London in 2014. In that case, however, the restaurant posted in advance on its Facebook page a precise recipe of the burger patty claimed to taste like human beings. It contained 40% pork mince, 40% veal mince, and 20% minced bone marrow, with a suggestion to cook it in the oven for 6 minutes or more for those who like human flesh well done. Gross, right? But cannibalism, low-key, well, not even low-key cannibalism, really. It's kind of right out there in a way. The imprinting of that idea is right there. Sick. I mean, would you even want to eat a burger like that? Or even, I'm not even curious. I don't want to know what a person tastes like. I'm sure most of you are probably like that, right? Right? This is a bit of an older story, just about a week ago, or just over a week, but China to put a fake moon in the night sky by 2020. You heard about this? The Chinese government is planning to launch a fake moon into space in 2 years, and it could save that country hundreds of millions of dollars in annual electricity costs. The satellite is set to be launched into orbit about 310 miles above the city of Chengdu in 2020 and may have the power to entirely replace streetlights. Wow, this moon will actually be a satellite, an illumination satellite featuring reflective panels that could make it 8 times as bright as the real moon. This is going to be interesting because I immediately see flat Earth people getting involved with this. Yeah, this will be interesting because a lot of flat Earth people don't believe in satellites and things like this. So this should be interesting if they actually hang this thing up in space. And it's huge, it'll be interesting to see. This moon will actually be a satellite, as it says, an illumination satellite. The moon will reportedly be able to adjust its own brightness and limit or expand its coverage on the ground, which could range from 6 to 50 miles in diameter. The moon will also be able to aim light in different directions, which could be a possible aid in times of disaster. Prior to launch, tests will be done in an uninhabited desert to see if the light could negatively affect the natural cycles of wildlife. Despite the announcement of environmental testing, some people are concerned about the potential light pollution caused by an artificial moon. This potentially creates significant new environmental problems with what at first seems like a novel approach to an already solved problem, said John Barentine, the Director of Public Policy at the International Dark Sky Association. That sounds scary. Sounds like a scary organization. The International Dark Sky Association. Like, what do you do there? Kang Wyman, Director of the Institute of Optics at the Harbin Institute of Technology in Heilongjiang, China, said that the light of the satellite is more of a dusk-like glow, said Fox News, so it should not affect the welfare of animals. Interesting, right? We shall see. In 1999, Russia tried the same thing, launching its own artificial moon satellite from the Mir space station. The satellite, named Znamya, was designed to light up the northern region of the country where sunlight is scant during the winter months, noted the Daily Wire. No more electricity bills, no more long, dark winters. This is a serious breakthrough for technology, said Vladimir, the engineer behind the Russian project. Unfortunately, after a successful test run of a smaller model, the panels of the second satellite didn't open properly and tore Mir's antennas. So the idea of Znamya was abandoned and eventually destroyed upon re-entry into the atmosphere. There you go. Fake moon by 2020. We'll see. More goats in the news. It's just one of those trends. TV presenter Larissa Switlik gets death threats over goat hunting picture. She described the goat as beautiful and said it had been such a fun hunt. Larissa Switlik sparked outrage after posting pictures of herself with the wild goat, dead wild goat. The TV presenter went on to write, made a perfect 200-yard shot and dropped in with the gun works at Night Force Optics. Good thing, too, because he could have ran off the cliff into the water. If you're new to this, new to the show, we find trends a lot of the time every week. It's not even like I'm looking for them. It just happens a lot of the time. This one was sent to me, I think, from somebody. But usually I've just found them. But it seems every week there's usually stories about people going crazy on airplanes or something weird happening with airplanes or something at airports. And there's stories about goats. I know it sounds random, but those of you who've been watching these for a while, you know what I'm talking about. So there you go, another goat story. Augmented reality porn stars are coming to a living room near you. It was only a matter of time. Adult entertainment studio Naughty America released one of the industry's first XXX rated augmented reality apps for Android phones this week, which promises to put life-sized 3D versions of adult entertainers in your living room. It's just what everybody needs, right? Or bedroom, for that matter, with the company Andreas Roundups touting the app as a way for consumers to make their own adult videos at home. It's the future of making content, he said in an interview with Variety. People can make their own scenarios. Anyway, it's getting crazy. Talk about an actual matrix, like literally being plugged into a matrix. That's what augmented reality is. And interacting with these created images, these false idols. What a crazy world, man, right? What a crazy world. It's a movie. It's really like a movie. A crazy science fiction horror film. Zombie-like woman convulsing near abandoned house. Pretty much says it all. I think we can watch this video here. Let's see. They're playing music in the background. Just got to be careful. It's sad. I kind of thought this might be more of an actual, somebody acting like a zombie or, somebody actually possessed. Could still be. We see a lot of that nowadays, right? But that just looks like, some drug person totally tripping out. So not quite as interesting a video as I thought it might be. Still sad, but not quite as interesting as I thought it might be. So let's move on. Invasion of venomous spiders causes evacuation of entire block of flats. Residents at Quayside House in Newham, East London, said the communal areas are crawling with the poisonous spiders. Several schools across North and East London were forced to close earlier this month due to similar infestations of the creepy Crawlies. Mum of two, Dion Burrows, who lives on the first floor of the tower blocks, first spotted false widows inside her flat a month ago and says that even though it has been fumigated twice, the spiders kept coming back. Dion, 28, said she and her son Luke, 9, and daughter Ava, 2, moved into a hotel room after she was bitten and had a bad reaction. Luke is so petrified he's staying with his great nan, 83, until the spiders are gone, she said. I found one right next to my little boy's bed, she said. The building is riddled with them. It's ridiculous. Yuck. They are in the corners, all over the walls, and crawling across the door frames. There are so many damp areas in the building which they apparently like the water cupboard outside my door, which could be full of them. I have seen 4 spiders in my flat and had to call my daughter's dad to come and get rid of them because I just cannot go near them. Dion was put on antibiotics after being bitten on her thigh and shin. Felt like a burning sensation, and it was so painful, she said. Yuck. You ever seen that movie Arachnophobia? I didn't even know I was really that scared of spiders until I saw Arachnophobia. It's an older movie, but yeesh. It's scary. It's little creepy crawlies. Yuck. Man told cops he battered mother to death while possessed by the ghosts of Adolf Hitler. Look at this guy. I mean, I'm not trying to make fun. It's just, Jason Stice, 34, is also said to have told police he had been possessed by demons before killing Joy. So this is a victim, really, all right? I know he looks crazy, but still. The alleged murderer was arrested for aggravated after beating Joy at her home in Fort Wayne, Indiana last Wednesday. Look at this guy. Charges against Stice were upgraded after she died in hospital several hours later. According to Wayne, cops who attended the crime scene were met by a blood-covered Stice who told them, "I'm a bad person. Kill me. I need to be put down so I don't hurt anyone else." Stice is later said to have admitted hitting, biting, punching, and choking his mother before calling his father, David Stice, to tell him what he had done. David Stice then called 911 and stayed on the other line with his son until first responders arrived. Asked if he felt bad about what he had done to his mother, Stice said to have replied, "Sort of, kind of." One of Stice's friends said he had suffered from mental health issues, including bipolar disorder, for years. A neighbor who lived nearby paid tribute to Joy, telling the Journal-Gazette she was a sweet old lady. I don't know what she could have ever did to make that man do that. He told police he had been possessed by the ghost of Adolf Hitler and possessed by demons. And unfortunately, this is real. This kind of thing is real. Real monsters out there. Another spider story. Second man tries to kill spiders with blowtorch, also ends up burning his house down. This man was house sitting for his parents in Fresno, California, when he noticed a number of dangerous spiders in the home. He saw only one answer to the problem: blowtorch. Firefighters say the man was attempting to kill black widows on Tuesday night when the building caught fire. This is in America. The other one was across the pond. Interesting, though, right? Is this just a manifestation of the creeping evil? That's the way I see these things, especially when it's more than one case out there like this. He made it out safely and no one else was home at the time. The house itself was not so lucky, with the blaze causing damage to the second story and attic of the building. A total of 29 firefighters were called to the scene. The exact cause of the fire has not yet been officially determined, but firefighters told local reporters they believe it's the blowtorch was to blame. Comes almost a year to the day that an unnamed man from Tucson, Arizona, was suspected of using a propane torch to kill spiders and burn spider webs underneath his mobile home. He accidentally created a massive blaze that required 23 firefighters and completely gutted his house. Fire crews called to the scene at that time described seeing an elderly woman being carried out of the burning house by her son and several neighbors. Anyway, more spiders in the news. Oh, creepy crawlies. Five-year-olds are now contouring like Kim Kardashian. So just the Kardashian effect on children. Children really shouldn't be watching that kind of stuff, right? Kim Kardashian is so used to being criticized for letting her 5-year-old daughter North wear makeup that when she posted a video on Instagram of a little girl wearing red lipstick last month, she preempted the backlash. Relax, mom shamers. It's coming off in a few minutes. The makeup mogul captioned the clip, helpfully identifying the shade as number 6 in her new classic collection. I needed a bribe to get her out of the door. You feel me? Kardashian was called a horrible mother for allowing North to walk in a runway show in LA wearing a crop top. It's a 5-year-old kid, right? Sunglasses and lipstick and her parenting skills were once more called into question when North rocked a bright orange eye look to go see her dad, Kanye West, perform on Saturday Night Live. While the spotlight is shining on North's famous face, like it or not, little girls across America are troweling on the eyeshadow and blush and pouting for the cameras. Aged just 5 to 12, these mini divas are social media savvy. Oh, God help us all. Are hip to the latest techniques, obsessed with the coolest cosmetic brands. Great. 5 to 12 years old, and they're already that programmed. They're fans of beauty influencers. With professional makeup brushes clutched in their tiny hands, these darlings are copying sophisticated online makeup looks with grown-up powders and potions at home. And they're even making money doing it. Ugh. Take 7-year-old Molly, who carefully contours her forehead, cheeks, and button nose with 2 shades of concealer and a drop of oil, then blends a shimmery eye statement. She stands to earn $12,000 this year from her makeup tutorials on YouTube and Instagram. 7 years old. My favorite products are lipstick and glittery eyeshadow, the 7-year-old said. And I really like blush because it makes my cheeks stand out. Ugh. Get me off this rock. Then there's Zara. A second grader who is sometimes recognized on the street, even outside of her hometown of Atlanta. She has 208,000 Instagram followers and over 132,000 subs on her YouTube channel. My daughter has her own caboodle full of stuff she gets to wear at the house, says her mom, a beauty influencer. She says she restricts her daughter's cosmetic use to home and doesn't let her wield mascara wand herself. Okay. Geesh. Look at this. While tweens and teens have always played with makeup, experts say that iGen is particularly informed and sophisticated. With the proliferation of technology, smartphones, and access to information at even younger ages, you have an incredibly knowledgeable and discerning consumer, says Natasha Kornstein, CEO of Blushington, a chain of beauty lounges with several locations. Check the yellow pages for one near you. She estimates that 20% of her clientele falls in the 12 to 18 age group. All right. I get it. Vanity is all I see. Is this really something a 5 to 12-year-old girls should be dealing with? I don't know. I don't think so, but hey, I don't have a 5-year-old or a 12-year-old or anything in between. Chubbs is only 2. American trucking company caught on video carrying migrants for border invasion. This is pretty wild. Video out of Mexico today shows an American trucking company using its flatbed trailers to carry hundreds of illegal alien migrants toward the U.S. border to aid and abet their illegal entry into the United States. In the video shown below, a truck pulling dual flatbed trailers with the company name Javier is shown along with its U.S. Department of Transportation ID number. Ruh-roh. The video below shows the truck hauling the illegal aliens, and we used it to look up the owner info and the trucking company. Here's the picture. I don't know how big that is for you guys, but You can probably see it. All right. That's the number they circled there in the middle. DOT number. When the company was called via phone and asked why their trucks were in Mexico aiding and abetting illegal aliens trying to invade our country, the female who answered the phone stuttered and hung up. I'm sure she did. It says, here's the video of the truck aiding and abetting the transportation of the illegal aliens. Huh. All right. There you go. I mean, I'm not surprised, right? I'm sure a lot of you aren't surprised. Maybe some of you are. But, there's politics behind this, obviously. This whole thing's staged and set up. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. And, of course, the nightly news always makes it look like all these people are suffering, and their people are dropping out because it's so hard out there. And, right? I mean, they really try to play it up, and tug on those heartstrings. Meanwhile, they're chilling on a flatbed, G. Probably got plenty of food and water. Right? It's going to be interesting to see what happens when they get to the border. I just read earlier today that Trump's looking at signing an executive order to end anchor babies. That's really hardcore. That is really hardcore. It'll be interesting to see if he can do that. U.S. Marines reveal plans for plasma crowd control weapon that can shout at people from 3,000 feet away and then be turned up to temporarily blind and even burn them. Sounds like fun. The U.S. Marines are developing a new laser weapon that can transmit voice messages at long range. And, they've had this technology forever. They're just leaking it out now for whatever reason. So, the U.S. Marines are developing a new laser weapon that can transmit voice messages at long range or be turned up to deafen, dazzle, or even kill. The scalable, compact, ultra-short pulse laser system will be mounted on a truck or tank. It will initially be used as a non-lethal weapon for crowd control, according to U.S. government documents. The aim of the project is to develop a lightweight and energy-efficient next-generation ultra-short pulse laser system that can produce sustainable and controllable plasma at range capable of inducing a full spectrum of scalable non-lethal effects. The weapon works using an igniter laser that fires an intense short pulse powerful enough to create a ball of plasma. This can be created in midair or on the surface of a target. A stronger detonator laser then explodes the plasma ball, which can be used to create enhanced non-lethal effects such as flashbang effects, thermal ablation for pain, and delivery of intelligible voice commands at range. That's so creepy, according to military documents. However, the weapon could also eventually be used to kill. Hey. The document mentions future plans include advancement of possible full spectrum of effects capabilities from non-lethal to lethal, along with added command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, and all that. Wow. Wild, huh? In fact, there's another story coming up here in just a little bit. I think it's the synagogue guy, the guy that went crazy at the synagogue recently. I'm pretty sure he was hearing voices. I think that might be one of my stories coming up here, but we shall see. This one's really crazy here. 2 Satan-worshipping middle school girls plotted to kill fellow students and drink their blood. I think there might be a news story on this we can watch. Let's see here. I think that's what's happening.
Closer to home, we're getting a look at the weapons that 2 Bartow.
Yeah, check this out.
Middle schoolers allegedly plan to use to kill their classmates and then eat their flesh. And the plan thwarted thanks to a robocall. ABC Action News reporter Melissa Mahadeo is live for us tonight in Bartow. Melissa, parents are horrified and concerned at this one.
Yeah, very much so. We spoke with several parents who either picked their kids up early or just plain let them stay home today after hearing those details of a plan that police say an 11 and 12-year-old admitted to making. A butcher knife, pizza cutter, scissors. These are some of the weapons an 11 and 12-year-old brought to Bartow Middle School on Tuesday to allegedly kill classmates.
They wanted to kill at least 15 people and were waiting in the bathroom for the opportunity to find smaller kids that they could overpower to be their victims.
Extra officers were already on campus after another student reported concerns on Monday. But police tell us the plot was foiled only after one of the girl's mother called in when a robocall said she skipped school.
This is horrific, and if I had children in school, I'd be scared, slapped to death.
Officers found them in the bathroom with a goblet on hand to reportedly drink their victim's blood.
I mean, how can this happen? You know, we are afraid, and she's afraid.
Kind of feel like maybe it might be a good idea just for some of these schools to maybe even put in metal detectors.
Messages appear to show the girls planned the murders and even to kill themselves when it was done.
I'm going to call them small children. They're only 11 and 12. Seriously sat down and plotted to do serious bodily harm to another student at school.
Wow, right? Very important. You know, at least in my kind of work, these kind of stories are very important, particular types. That just shows, to me, this shows the real spiritual battle that we're in. I'm sure I'll be using this story in a future video once I get more like it, unfortunately, because I know there will be more like it. Just because the way the world is and the way it's going, it seems. Even the youth now, it's when children start doing this when it's very scary, you know? I just did a video on comedy. You know, whatever happened to when did comedy become so unfunny? It's called. But anyway, while doing it, I came across this story. Nothing major, but still worthy. Sarah Silverman is just very disturbing to me. You know, she's a very disturbing comedian, and I put some of the reasons I feel that way inside my video. But anyway, I just thought I'd share this one. Sarah Silverman says her friend, the disgraced comedian Louis C.K., masturbated in front of her several times, but with her consent. Silverman says that she does not want to make any excuses for C.K., but believes that her experience might contextualize his behavior to some extent. Several women accused C.K. of masturbating in front of them without their consent. Silverman appeared on Howard Stern's Sirius XM show on Monday and emphasized that she was not making excuses for him. She also said she was not comparing herself to the women who said CK abused his power with that behavior. Anyway, really doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter in the fact that, just for the point of my video, that these are comedians nowadays. These are the funny people, right? And they're degenerates, you know. And in many ways, they're degenerates. It's sad, really. Antarctic researcher who snapped, quote unquote, snapped and stabbed colleague in frenzy was driven mad living in a confined space. Wow, that dude's got a look, huh? Look at that beard, man. I can't even. I got too much Indian blood to be able to grow a beard. Unfortunately, I say, because I really wish I could. I just can't. I don't get a lot of facial hair. Even a mustache looks really dumb on me. It's like I still get that 8th grade mustache most guys get in the 8th grade. You know, it's like 30 hairs. And they grow real long and just kind of hang there over your lip. It's not pretty. So I don't really do. It's really not that bad. But I don't even think I could grow 30 hairs. But I just can't grow facial hair. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get to the story here. An Antarctic researcher snapped after being driven mad in confined space. Stabbed his colleague in a frenzy. Engineer Sergei Savitsky, 55, is accused of stabbing welder Oleg Belaguzov, 52, in the chest The alleged attack was in the canteen at Russian Antarctic Station Bellingshausen on King George Island, part of the South Shetland Islands on the world's remotest continent. The wounded man was evacuated to Chile, the nearest emergency hospital, with a knife injury to the chest. He is thought to be critically ill and fighting for his life. That's the guy that was investigated. This is the guy that got stabbed. There you go. His heart was injured in the attack, and he was admitted to the intensive care unit of a hospital. The alleged attacker was deported to Russia's second city, St. Petersburg, where he was immediately arrested and a criminal probe launched. Savitsky has admitted he stabbed his colleague but claimed he did not intend to kill him. The attack was reported to have happened on October 9th. There's the guy. Oh, that's so pretty out there. I lived out in Kodiak Island, Alaska for 2 years, and that reminds me of that right there. The head of the Russian station used special powers to detain the alleged knifeman and start a criminal probe. Both men involved in the incident are on the staff of the research station. An aircraft was dispatched from St. Petersburg the same day to bring the accused man back to Russia. The press service of Arctic and Antarctic Science Research Institute said the reports were true, but is not elaborated. All right. Witness statements have been taken and are being examined in St. Petersburg. Reports say this is the first such a crime has occurred at a Russian station in Antarctica. 12 researchers continue their work. All right. They didn't really get too much into the case, did they? I was hoping they would, but I guess they probably don't know much as of now. Now, this is some really brutal, and we got some footage we're going to watch together here. Antifa protester is fired from his job after being filmed harassing a 9/11 widow and saying her dead NYPD husband deserved to rot in the grave. I think this is the footage here.
You're trying to block me. I'm trying to...
Okay, you ready? We're going to watch it together.
Why are you trying to block me? I'm trying to walk here.
I obey traffic signals.
You're a snarky little idiot. Shut up.
Try something.
I'm not going to punch you. I'm not like your husband. I'm not going to punch you.
I'm not married.
I'm not like your boyfriend or your top boyfriend who's going to knock you out, so don't worry.
My husband died in 9/11.
Good for him. Good. Good. Well, then NYPD were a bunch of sodomizing immigrants with their bully sticks. So yeah, your husband probably should rot in the grave.
Classy, right? Real classy. All right. Shut that down. Hey, there he is. Classy. To me, all of this is, especially with Antifa, which is double speak, right? It's anti-fascist, but they're fascist, right? But that's part of the Antichrist spirit, the growing Antichrist spirit. You see it manifesting in people. The sheep or a goat, wheat or tare, right? It's a spirit, and a nasty one at that. It's really nasty. Broadcast TV hits record percentage of LGBTQ regulars. Just more of the conditioning, more of the programming. I think I put this in my latest video too. I had a place for it. But there you go, man. The programming is strong with this one. Yeah, there you go. Totally normalizing it still as best they can. And it's tiresome to me. It's so tiresome. But it's the system. It's also about slowing reproduction, or in a broader sense, killing the human race, which is exactly what the devil would want, right? It's part of that system. You may think I'm reaching. That's where I see it, ultimately. And why does this happen right here? Seriously, dozens more breakfast foods test positive for trace amounts of weed killer, report says. Why, right? Why does that happen? Dozens of common breakfast cereals and snack bars have trace amounts of a controversial herbicide found in the weed killer Roundup. Monsanto, remember them? According to a report released today by an environmental advocacy group. The environmental working group found that is there a video playing here? I'm just going to read. The EWG found that 26 of the 28 products it tested had levels of Roundup's main ingredient, glyphosate, that were higher than what EWG scientists consider protective of children's health. An early report found similar results in over 30 oat-based cereals. I mean, they're killing us. This is one of the ways that they're killing us, right? Manufacturers say their products are safe, but the EWG report argues that the vast majority of foods tested, such as Honey Nut Cheerios, that's a bummer. I used to love those, and Quaker's Simply Granola Oats have glyphosate levels that might pose a cancer risk. Gee, you think? With long-term consumption. Ugh, okay, I guess it's good I stopped eating those a long time ago. They're killing us, man. This is the beast system. One of the ways the beast system kills humanity, or tries to. None of the foods violated EPA limits on the herbicide, but the EWG uses a far more conservative health benchmark. California's proposed glyphosate limit, which would be the most restrictive in the country, still allows for glyphosate levels that are over 100 times higher than the EWG's threshold. That's so sad. The environmental group says its lower threshold includes an added buffer for children, as exposure during early life can have more significant effects on development later in life, according to Dr. Alexis Timken, the lead scientist on EWG report. Wow, think about that, parents, for real, right? In August, a jury in San Francisco ordered Roundup's manufacturer Monsanto to pay $289 million in damages to a school groundskeeper who argued that the glyphosate-based weed killer caused his cancer. A judge on Monday upheld that decision, but slashed Monsanto's payout to $78 million. I'm sure he was just fine with that. Pharmaceutical giant Bayer recently purchased Monsanto and said in a statement that the company plans to appeal the court's decision. Glyphosate-based herbicides have been used safely and successfully for over 4 decades worldwide, the company said in a statement to CNN. No surprise there, right? So there's one to look into. Good article there. For the most part, it's CNN, so, you know. Dozens more breakfast foods test positive for trace amounts of weed killer, report says. So it's not about CNN so much, it's the report. But something to look into. Something that's important to understand. New immersive haunted houses mean more thrills for guests, more rules for zombies. There's a picture. Yikes. Oh, it's one of these. It's not going to let me read the full story. Look at that. Not too bad. I kind of wanted to read the story. Who is this? Wall Street Journal? Really? Is that what they're doing now? Wow, that sucks. All right. Well, there you go. New immersive haunted houses mean more thrills for guests. More rules for zombies. It's about all we get. Chainsaw maniacs must show restraint. Putting someone against a wall by their shoulders is okay, but no touching torsos. Go away, monster. I'm interested. I want to read this. Wall Street Journal, I do. But I don't want to subscribe. Anyway, there you go. Scary haunted house. The military's obsession with energy drinks is contributing to PTSD, study finds. I don't drink these anymore. Gosh, like over 10 years ago, I went through, there was like a summer there where I just was all about these energy drinks. And again, that was over a decade ago. And they were monster. It's even before I kind of woke up. It's before I made the scariest movie ever made, where I put some of that Monster energy drink stuff in there in that movie. And I made that like about 10 years ago now. So it was before that, and I was hooked on the blue Monster, the low carb Monster, low sugar, and those things would just have me just amped, like hours at a time, amped. The stuff is so bad for you too. It really is. But getting adequate sleep is increasingly rare among the active duty military population, as frequent deviations from the body's natural circadian rhythms due to a demanding operational tempo pit personnel in an ongoing struggle against the ever-persistent Sandman. To combat the sleep deprivation unique to this demographic, service members often turn to energy drinks, a prominent component of combat deployments that has become as paramount to mission success as any piece of protective gear or weaponry. The prevalence of energy drink use in these settings is extraordinary. The lifeblood is virtually everywhere and tends to cost nothing, resulting in an environment in which nearly half of deployed troops down at least one readily available crack can per day. While consuming these drinks may not hurt service members in their wallets, excessive use may very well be contributing to long-term mental and physical ailments. The authors of the studies, well, that was from a recent study in the Military Medical Journal. The authors of that study surveyed over 600 male infantry soldiers during a post-deployment period after the brigade combat team returned from a 12-month combat deployment to Afghanistan. Questions were designed to examine the association of energy drink use with sleep deprivation or insomnia, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, alcohol abuse, aggressive behaviors, and fatigue. What the authors found was that over the course of the month leading up to the survey, more than 75% of soldiers consumed energy drinks. More surprising, however, was that 16% of soldiers in this study reported continuing to consume 2 or more energy drinks per day in the post-deployment period. High energy drink use, which was classified as consuming 2 or more of those a day, was significantly associated with those survey respondents who reported mental health problems, anger-related behaviors, and fatigue. I could get that. It does put you on edge, man. Those things really amp you out, I'm sure some of y'all know what I mean. You've probably had some of these. Again, I haven't touched them in years. I won't. Not even just, it's part of it's the symbolism on these things too. I know that's poison to stay away from it, but then just there's studies done on this. Bad for your bones. There's a lot of issues. Bad for your heart. I certainly don't need energy drinks right now. So there you go. Uh-oh, and here comes this. We are preparing for war. Russia issues a shock warning over the U.S. withdrawal from INF treaty. So here we go with this kind of talk, right? A leading Russian official has warned that Russia is preparing for war in the wake of the U.S.'s unilateral withdrawal from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, and a sign of growing tensions between the two foes. Andrei Belousov, deputy head of Department of Non-Proliferation and Arms Control at the Russian Foreign Minister, raised concerns over potential future conflict between the U.S. and Russia, stating that that Moscow will defend its territorial integrity and principles in response to U.S. aggression. Mr. Belousov made his remarks after the first committee of the UN General Assembly voted against a draft resolution to the INF proposed by Russia in support of the treaty. He said, here recently at the meeting, the United States said that Russia is preparing for war. Yes, Russia is preparing for war. I have confirmed it. We are preparing to defend our homeland, our territorial integrity, our principles, our values, our people. We are preparing for such a war. However, Mr. Belousov underlined that Russia was merely defending itself against increasing threats and accused the U.S. of being the catalyst of aggression. He said, linguistically, the difference is in just one word, both in Russia and in English. Russia is preparing for war, and the U.S. is preparing for war. Otherwise, why would the United States withdraw from the treaty, build up its nuclear potential, and adopt a new nuclear doctrine? He also took aim at the UN General Assembly for refusing to hear Russia's draft resolution to the INF, which was aimed at protecting the landmark treaty. The Russian official warned that if the U.S. does withdraw from the treaty, the world will witness increasing danger and instability. He concluded if the United States comes out of the treaty and starts building up its nuclear potential in an uncontrolled manner, we will face another reality. The INF Treaty was established in 1987 between the leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, and U.S. President Ronald Reagan at the height of the Cold War. Donald Trump nevertheless accused Russia of breaking key commitments of the accord, an accusation that Russia has denied. Speaking at a rally in Nevada, he said, Russia has not, unfortunately, honored the agreement, so we're going to terminate the agreement and we're going to pull out. We're not going to let them violate a nuclear agreement and go out and do weapons, and we're not allowed to. Trump's decision to withdraw from the treaty has drawn sharp criticism from Mr. Gorbachev, who warned that it increased the risk of nuclear conflict in a new arms race. There you go, man. What do you think? What do you think? Einstein said, he goes, I don't know how World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. This was interesting. Woman calling Prophet Muhammad a pedo has conviction upheld by European court. The European Court of Human Rights ruled that the woman, known only as Miss S, was convicted by a lower court in Vienna for disparaging religious doctrines and was ordered to pay a 480 euros fine plus legal fees. She appealed the decision, and her case was thrown out by the Court of Appeal in the Austrian capital as well as the country's Supreme Court. The 47-year-old from Vienna was reported to have held seminars in which she made the blasphemous comments while debating the marriage between Muhammad and Aisha, a 6-year-old girl. The girl, who was one of the Prophet's 13 wives, became an important figure in Islam, but was only 6 years old when they married. The marriage is said to have been consummated when the girl was aged 9. Oof. In one of her seminars, Miss S is reported to have said, a 56-year-old and a 6-year-old? What do we call that if it's not pedo, right? She also said Muhammad liked to do it with children, quote unquote. She was convicted for insulting the religion in February 2011 by the Vienna Regional Criminal Court, and yesterday the ECHR upheld the decision. Miss S had argued that her right to freedom of speech had been infringed, but the ECHR ruled the lower courts had not violated that right, which is laid out in Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights. She also argued that her criticism of Islam has occurred in the framework of an objective and lively discussion which contributed to a public debate, and that she had not intended to defame the Prophet. I mean, but people make fun of Christ, right? Constantly. I mean, it's in movies and TV shows, making fun of Jesus. And that seems to be okay, right? But I'm just saying, you know, I guess you can't make fun of him, you know, Muhammad. Got to be careful. Good, bad news. This is for some of you YouTubers who've been around for a long time, like myself. You may remember Salad Fingers. This is really random, creepy. I can't play it because I think it'll probably, trigger the a copyright thing. But cast your mind back to 2004. We were on the 3rd Harry Potter film. The term wardrobe malfunction was coined at the Super Bowl. Michelle McManus reached #1 with All This Time. And on the internet, a creepy, noseless cartoon character with bizarrely long fingers was scaring the bejesus, I don't like that word, out of us all. Yep, Salad Fingers haunted all of our dreams in the nowdies, and now he's back. Animator David Firth has released a brand new Salad Fingers video to celebrate achieving 1 million subscribers on YouTube. The video sees Salad Fingers sitting at a table in the middle of a desolate wasteland holding a spoon and showing off a cake studded with one lone candle and a number of severed fingers. The character says, hello, today I'd like to thank you for 1 million little tiny billiard people that I get to keep in my little billiard box. Then comes the return of finger puppet Hubert Cumberdell, who Salad Fingers hasn't seen for 23 years. Anyway, that's for some of you old school YouTubers that remember Salad Fingers. been around for, well, I guess a long time now, since 2004. And he just got 1 million subs, but it's just really random, weird, and creepy. So some of you may like that. Some of you maybe not. But Salad Fingers is back. You've been waiting on it, and he's back. Here's a story I think we get to watch together.
CTV's Janice Golding is next.
Yeah, let's check this out. Weird crime story.
With a fraud investigation that involves witchcraft, a psychic accused of defrauding a senior of more than $500,000. Janice, this is quite the story.
That's right, Michelle. Now, York Regional Police say they first began investigating an elder financial abuse incident in November 2017 and eventually discovered crimes they allege date back to 2013. The glass is missing in the screen door, the window smashed out in the door behind it, and in the drive of this Finch Avenue East home, the site of a psychic business, a Cadillac has shattered windows on the front and back passenger side.
But I saw the police came here, and once we saw some broken cars.
How many broken cars?
Few.
Clary says she first noticed something wrong at her neighbor's house when police dropped by 2 weeks ago. And she's upset the woman who police say operated a psychic business from the home has been charged with fraud.
It was so unusual to have this kind of business here.
York Regional Police have charged 27-year-old Samantha Stevenson with pretending to practice witchcraft, fraud over $5,000, and possession of property obtained by crime after an 11-month-long investigation.
She essentially convinced him that his residents and himself were being followed sort of by evil spirits, and that the only way to remove these evil spirits was to sell the house and transfer her all the money, where she would be doing blessings and different spells.
Police allege the suspect defrauded a 67-year-old man of $600,000 over the course of 4 years.
So she at one point made a demand for $6,000 that she said she needed to set on fire in order to remove the evil spirits. To get that amount, he sold his car.
Police say the woman called herself Psychic Ivana, or Ivana Lopez. But according to business cards distributed throughout the neighborhood, the psychic operating from this address called herself Mrs. Carmel. Aria says his family regularly received flyers from their neighbor, but he never visited her. As for the allegations,
I just feel that people that do this are like they have no soul or anything.
I don't know anything about it. I just cleaned the house.
You just cleaned the house. So is the resident of the house in the house right now?
I'm not sure. I'm not there.
Okay, well, why would your number be listed here then as being the business phone number for a Mrs. Carmel psychic? CTV tried calling the two numbers on the postcard, which are the same as those posted outside the home. The cell phone is listed as being the number that we're to contact her at, according to the exterior of the home and also business cards that are handed out in the neighborhood.
I don't know, it must be a mistake, but I got to get back to work. Thank you so much, though, for your time.
But nobody would speak to us about the allegations. By the way, the people we spoke to claimed to be the home's housekeeper and the landlord's contractor, respectively. Samantha.
There you go. Interesting story, right? Go figure. Fake witch, fake psychic. No way, right? Yes, there's plenty of that out there. There's fake psychics. There's been a lot of activity around Antarctica lately. I mean, lately, last couple of years. A lot of weird things kind of happening in that general area. Eerie hum discovered in Antarctica. Let me see if this is a video. I think it might be. Let's see. Yeah, listen to it. Pretty interesting, huh? There you go. They don't write anything about it. It's just the video. So sorry. I was kind of hoping there might be a little more information on that. But one to watch and just another file to put under Antarctica. Oddness in Antarctica. Because there's a lot of it. We just had the story of the guy going crazy, right? And stabbing his friend. Wasn't that in that area? I think. Swallowed alive. Here's a little video for you. Shocking moment. 2 doctors are swallowed by a massive sinkhole that opens under their feet. Oh, okay, check it out. Whoa. Let's do that one more time. Whoa. Wow. Can you imagine? Whoa. All right, let's read up on this and see what happened. The women, identified as Dr. Susan Balik and Nurse Özlem Duymaz, had finished working at health center in Diyarbakir, southeastern Turkey, when the ground collapsed beneath them. In the clip, the pair is shown walking along the pavement before stopping briefly to talk to each other, but as they spoke, the pavement suddenly collapsed under their feet. Miraculously, both women survived, good news, the incident despite being buried by the rubble. They suffered only light injuries after being pulled out of the dusty wreckage by witnesses. Well, that's what we wanted to know. At least there's a happy ending to the story. Wow, scary looking stuff, though. Speaking of scary stuff, check this out. Woman stabs ex-husband and then takes selfie with him as he bleeds. Eek. And there's the woman. And I guess that's the alleged the selfie back there. She looks kind of scary, doesn't she? To me, she does. The Siberian woman, identified only as Olga in local media, reportedly grabbed a knife and plunged it into her former partner, Oleg, after a boozy row. But rather than call for help, the woman snapped a selfie of her posing alongside his bloodied body and then sent the photo to her pals. According to Russian reports, 25-year-old Olga even told friends the gory image made her look like a beast, quote unquote. Yep. There was a beast in you, for sure, to do that. Absolutely. She wrote in the message, "Guys, I stabbed my ex-husband with a knife. I was taken to accident and emergency for 3 hours, and only now have I cleaned up everything. It looks like I'm a beast." She is said to have stabbed him after he attempted to strangle her during the argument. Olga has now been arrested on suspicion of exceeding justifiable self-defense, but has since been released. This was under the condition she does not leave her home and continues to take care of the daughter she shares with her ex. Oleg is reportedly recovering from a stab wound after undergoing emergency treatment. Earlier this year, a woman was accused of hacking off her lover's wiener after he leaked their sex tape. The furious 26-year-old enacted revenge on her boyfriend by snipping off 90% of his using pruning shears. Wow. I really didn't need to know about that. Oof. That's just so wrong. I thought this was interesting. 90,000 young people gather to hear the gospel, kickstart a, quote, new Jesus movement. Obviously, I always, I would hope more people are finding Christ, following Christ, accepting Christ. Again, becoming followers and really trying to live that life and working on repenting and everything else. But then there's religion, which religion can be bad at times, Some 90,000 people came together this week at the Texas Motor Speedway to praise Jesus and hear the word of Christ, which is a good thing, I believe. A Minneapolis-based ministry called Pulse hosted an event called Together 2018 this year in an effort to set hearts on fire for Christ and the Bible. According to CBN News, Pulse partnered with over 1,000 churches across the country in order to coordinate the event Together 2018. But it featured major Christian artists. I haven't looked any of these people up, but I really don't know much about mainstream Christian groups or even preachers. It says Christian artists like Jesus Culture, Bethel Music, Lecrae. Oh, okay. I think Neftali has done some videos on Lecrae, maybe some other people. Oh, Hillsong. Okay, yeah. See, so this is troublesome. All right, this is troublesome. I've done some videos on Hillsong, or at least included some of their beast system symbolism in some of my videos, talking about what they're all about. Also, speakers including Robert Morris, Francis Chan, Todd White, and Ravi Zacharias, among others, to share the good news. So I don't know, I mean, whatever it takes for people to find Christ has kind of always been my attitude. But my biggest thing is I hope they develop their own personal relationship with him and research him on their own and read the Bible for themselves and hopefully use a concordance, to understand the Greek and the Hebrew meaning of words. And, just to, again, just build their own relationship, though, mainly is the idea, and not fall too much into dogma and the dogmatic stuff in a lot of these churches. Right? Anyway, there you go. Campbell's Soup exec out after Soros conspiracy theory tweet. The Campbell Soup executive who tweeted a conspiracy, they're calling it a conspiracy theory already. Who is this? Oh, New York Daily News, no surprise. About George Soros and the migrant caravan is no longer with the company. Last week, Kelly Johnston, who previously served as a vice president of government affairs, tweeted that Soros Open Society Foundations had organized the migrant caravan of thousands of people traveling through Mexico toward the U.S. border. See those vans on the right? What you don't see are the troop carriers and the rail cars taking them north, he wrote in a since-deleted tweet. At Open Society, planned and is executive this, including where they defecate, and they have an army of American immigration lawyers waiting at the border. Open Society, the organization founded by Soros that aims to build vibrant and tolerant democracies whose government, this is a quote, to build vibrant and tolerant democracies whose governments are accountable and open to the participation of all people, denied any collaboration with the traveling group. Mr. Johnson, neither Mr. Soros nor Open Society is funding this effort, they said. We are surprised to see Campbell Soup Company execs spreading false stories, and of course they got in trouble, or he did. What do you guys know about that anyway? I honestly haven't done a lot of research into how Soros is funding this. It hasn't been something on my radar lately, but do you guys know anything about that? Is there any solid proof? I just kind of assumed at this point, and I was going to look into it later. I'm just not that interested in the story. I kind of see it for what it is, just more New World Order, more trying to bash the borders, and they flood us with it's like they did in Europe. They flood us countries with these people, and it screws everything up, so that's what they're trying to do. Bash the borders, right? The one world order. But anyway, let us know, guys, if you know anything about that, if there's any solid proof about Soros funding somehow these migrant groups. Again, I honestly just assumed that's what they're doing, but I don't know for sure. So thanks, for letting us know what's up. Again, totally not surprised if that's the case. This is a sweet one. It's a bit of a doom break. Maybe it's a little late. We've had a lot of doom tonight, but this one's kind of cute. This is a it's a deaf baby hearing his mother for the very first time. I can't remember the whole story here, but I'll just blow the video up here and we'll watch it together here. But it's really sweet, I thought. So this is like the child had just had an operation or something, had born and wasn't able to hear. And anyway, this is the footage of the baby hearing his mother's voice for the first time.
Hello. Hello. I've never seen that face before. Hi. Are you emotional? You're gonna make me cry. Hi. Use your little chin. Hi. Yeah, are you gonna be emotional like your mama? Yeah. You're so sweet. Yeah. 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 I love you. I love you.
One more time. It's beautiful, isn't it? You can see his little thing on his ear there. That's how he's hearing.
Hello. I've never seen that face before. Hi. Are you emotional? You're gonna make me cry. Hi. Use your little chin. Hi. Yeah, are you gonna be emotional like your mama? Yeah. You're so sweet. Yeah. 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 I love you. I love you.
Man, best Doom break ever, I think. That's the best Doom break I've had on this show. Love it. I could watch that over and over again. Well, back to the Doom, I guess. Dry those eyes. 7 victims after first purge party ends in shooting at California nightclub. 7 people have been hospitalized after a shooting at a nightclub in Riverside, California. The club is hosting a party inspired by the Purge horror franchise. The police received a distress call after midnight on Monday. Arriving at the scene, the officers picked up 2 people with gunshot wounds who were then hospitalized. Another 5 people also shot at the venue and later checked in at different hospitals seeking medical treatment. Anyway, we get the gist, basic idea. I don't know what people expected. A first purge party. So this is one of those things where we see it on the big screen, right? Now we see this manifesting in real life. So purge is all about violence, right? It's like once a year in the movies, the purge movies, all violence, everything's acceptable for 12 hours, right? I think it's 12 hours. So ultra violent movies. And now they have a nightclub having a first purge party and violence erupts. No surprise to me, right? Police. High naked woman tried to bite off man's genitals. Police in South Carolina say a naked woman tried to bite off a man's genitals and then rushed on all fours. This is another one of your possessions that are out there. Rushed on all fours like an animal at responding officers who shocked her with a stun gun. WCSC-TV reports that a man called police for help, saying the woman tried to bite off his penis during sex with him and another man Monday night. Eesh. All right, so I guess they were doing it that way. Henan Police Chief Dennis Turner says officers shocked the bloody woman with a stun gun, then used an overdose fighting drug to revive her. Officers were told she was high on heroin and methamphetamine. Turner says the body camera recording reminded me of something you would see off of a horror movie. Wow. The woman was hospitalized. Charges are pending. Rushed on all fours. Tried to bite his genitals off. Okay. Man, this one is very upsetting. Have you heard about this? Have you guys heard of Gab.com? Gab.com, this guy created, it's a social media network, but it's basically like another Twitter. Only on Gab, it's totally about freedom of speech, right? Well, free speech social platform Gab goes offline after the Pittsburgh situation. The self-described free speech social media platform is taking time off the internet after landing under the spotlight when the Pittsburgh synagogue, you-know-what suspect was revealed to be a poster and user on the site. Isn't that sickening? So just because this guy used Gab, now they're blaming Gab. I mean, this is the world we're in, right? This is a symptom of a it's I'm going to make a video of this. It's even like the Me Too thing. All this stuff is coming together like this. Crucifying a guy for something he did 30, 40 years ago, things like this. It's unbelievable. But now you have this. Since one rando dude, was on Gab that did some really bad things, now they're going to go after Gab, as if Twitter hasn't had psychos and wackos on there, and Facebook hasn't had their share of even people committing crimes on Facebook Live and even killing themselves. But, they're still around, right? So, wow, look at this. Look at this title. Gab, a racist-friendly alt Twitter, has been banned by PayPal and others. So now we see they're going after anything that's, truly freedom of speech. Anything outside of the big boys that run everything, right? They're being targeted. Looks like there's a statement here from Gab. It says, Gab.com is under attack. We've been systematically non-platformed by app stores, multiple hosting providers, and several payment processors. We have been smeared by the mainstream media for defending free expression and individual liberty for all people, and for working with law enforcement to ensure that justice is served for the horrible atrocity committed in Pittsburgh. Gab will continue to fight for the fundamental human right to speak freely. As we transition to a new hosting provider, Gab will be inaccessible for a period of time. We are working around the clock to get Gab.com back online. Thank you, and remember to speak freely. If you're not a member of Gab, I'm not yet either, but I'm just saying, and I guess I should, so especially if I'm going to ask you guys to do it. But, we got to try to support these kind of people, these kind of groups. I get comfortable with my stuff too and don't branch out very much every now and then. And, this is one of those times. So Gab's under attack, as you can see. It's crazy, right? Now we had the story on Russia preparing for war. Now we got this. China's military ordered to concentrate preparations for fighting a war as tensions with the West grow. The communist ruler's instructions come amid, China's President Xi Jinping, I guess that's how you say it, has told his military commanders to concentrate preparations for fighting a war as Beijing ramps up fighting talk with the West. The communist ruler's instructions come amid rising tensions over the future of the South China Sea and Taiwan, and weeks after a Chinese warship tried to ram a U.S. Navy destroyer. China Central Television presented a speech from President Xi, who has claimed the position in perpetuity, when he met troops and generals on a tour of Guangzhou province. He told officers of the Southern Theater Command, it's necessary to strengthen the mission and concentrate preps for fighting a war. We need to take all complex situations into consideration and make emergency plans accordingly. He also reportedly said the regional command was having to bear a, quote, heavy military responsibility, as it was responsible for operations in the disputed South China Sea. But we get the message, right? China preparing for war. Russia preparing for war. China has been angered by U.S. sanctions on its military for buying weapons from Russia and by what Beijing sees as renewed Washington support for democratic Taiwan. Earlier this month, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence stoked tensions further, saying using that stolen technology, the Chinese Communist Party is turning plowshares into swords on a massive scale. And last week, Defense Minister Wei Feng said Beijing would never give up one single piece of its territory. He also warned that repeated challenges to China's sovereignty over Taiwan, which has seen mass protests calling for full independence, would lead to military action at any cost. There you go. There we go. Earlier, we had that story about the voice-to-skull technology, and now we've got this story right here. Let's see. I think it's a reader. I don't know. Or is it a video? There's the bar. Here we go. Synagogue shooter listened to noise, and noise told him his people were being slaughtered, says Jewish doctor who spoke to Robert Bowers. Did you catch that? A Jewish doctor who heads the hospital where the suspected Pittsburgh shooter is being treated and is a member of the synagogue he allegedly attacked, said Robert Bowers, quote, hears noise telling him to rise up and do something, quote unquote. Makes you wonder. I mean, is it spiritual? I believe, of course, in the spirits doing things like this, but we also know there's technology for this. We also know a lot of this stuff can be done from man. Mr. Bowers, who wrote frequent racist online screeds denouncing Jewish people, is to appear in federal court on Monday to face several dozen charges. He also faces 11 counts of murder. But that's really, you probably know the story by now, all right? But what I was most interested in is that he's hearing voices that are telling him to rise up and do something. German nurse admits to killing 100 patients as trial opens. The former nurse has admitted to killing 100 patients in his care on the first day of his trial in the biggest serial killing case in Germany's post-war history. Niels Hogel, 41, has already spent nearly a decade in prison on a life term for other patient deaths. He is accused of intentionally administering medical overdoses to victims so he could bring them back to life at the last moment. Wow, that's just so crazy, man. As the proceedings opened in the northern city of Oldenburg, the presiding judge, Sebastian Biermann, asked whether the charges against him were accurate. Hogel replied, yes. What I have admitted took place, he told the courtroom crowded with dozens of grieving relatives. As the proceedings began, Bormann said the main aim of the trial was to establish the full scope of the murder spree that was allowed to go unchecked for years at 2 German hospitals. Prosecutors say at least 36 were killed at a hospital in Oldenburg where he worked, and about 64 more at a clinic in nearby Delmenhorst between 2000 and 2005. More than 130 bodies of patients who died on Hogel's watch have been exhumed. Investigators have said the case is unprecedented. Ugh. Anyway. Creeper. And this one's pretty wild right here. This is like, this is really weird, actually. Fright House. Trump shakes a snake staff at the fake news media and blames it for division and hatred while handing out Halloween candy with Melania. These pictures are crazy. Look at this. Oh, I guess there's a video. All right, let's see. The pictures are more interesting. There you go. Look at that. First Lady Melania Trump has a laugh as President Trump waves a snake serpent in the direction of the press. It's interesting. There's so many stories about the witches doing spells on Donald Trump and on the White House. And now he's standing here looking like some kind of a strange sorcerer or something, right? Look at that. Ooga booga. It's interesting. It's the Halloween setup at the White House. His Halloween antics come a day after the president stirred up controversy by joking about his bad hair day and tweeting about the World Series just after a gunman slaughtered 11 people at a synagogue. Okay, I'm just trying to see anything else about the serpent staff. Another picture. It's kind of random, kind of weird. What if that's Donald's secret? What if he really is some powerful sorcerer? And they're literally having a war of spells with all these witches. Anyway, there you go. Fun stuff. Interesting. All right, man. I guess that completes my news stories for the week. Let's take a look over here at the chat for a second. Hey guys, once again, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I appreciate all my great mods. Thanks so much, man. Thanks. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters out there. If you're interested to support my work, I'll leave a link below. Thanks for PayPal. And just thanks for being here. Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. All of that. Just thanks for being cool, you know? Oh, tomorrow night, if you're interested, a lot of you probably don't celebrate Halloween, but tomorrow night I'm going to do a special broadcast at 7:00 p.m. on Halloween night. I figured it might be fun if I just did a whole show where I compiled all these crazy clips, like all the paranormal, supernatural, and UFO and monster type clips I find every week. What if I put them all together and we just do a show tomorrow night around 7 and just kind of watch all these things together, you know? So, and I know, you know, look, it's not like I'm celebrating Halloween. Most of you that follow my work know, you know, I'm really into the paranormal and supernatural for my own reasons. And those reasons are that that's one way you can reach certain people in this world to prove to them there's more on the other side. It's just one of the levels. This is the way I've always seen it. I'm also fascinated by it, but I like it. I see paranormal and supernatural things as proof there's more to what you can see, touch, taste, feel, right? So, you know, there's another reality out there. And some people, you have to take it in steps. So I've reached a lot of people throughout the years with my videos on paranormal stuff and supernatural stuff. Other people may like more of the spiritual stuff or more of the symbolism or whatever, but I try to appeal to a larger kind of group. So a lot of people have come into my work through kind of the UFO videos and stuff like that, or, you know, creature videos and stuff. So that's how I see it. And it's interesting to me. So tomorrow night, I figured it'd be fun. You know, it'll keep you off the streets and we can just look at some crazy videos together. I think it could be a lot of fun. So anyway, man, I hope you can be there, guys. Much love to you. I really appreciate y'all so much. And y'all take care, and I'll see you tomorrow night. And I dropped a new video too, so hopefully you had a chance to see that. Okay? If not, check it out on my channel. All right, guys.